And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. If you're just joining me and you'd like to reach out to me, the best way to do it is to send me an email at askal@luinc.com. That's askal@luinc.com. It's another edition of Tell Al Tuesday, but before I bring Ron onto the show, I want to remind you we have our Expo event coming up in Irving, Texas, October 2nd through the 5th, 2024, and tickets are on sale now. To get those tickets, go to lifestylesunlimited.com, grab your tickets, and let's get you going. Now, Ron's been on the show before, so you may recognize his voice, but here's what I want you to understand about Ron. Ron is a gentleman who has mastered retirement. Yeah, he's figured it out. He's totally figured it out. Now, check this out. He was an engineer. That's his past life. I mean, that's what he went to school to learn how to do. He worked for the old phone company. Now, who could that old phone company be? I think it's a little company that might have been known as AT&T. He worked for that company for 21 years, then consulted for many companies. He ran 3 startup companies overseas. His first retirement came in 2001. Then he designed and built a large new auto body shop and ran it for 10 years and got to his second retirement in 2012. And then he decided to work for a fiber optic company for 6 years, which brought him to his third retirement in 2019. And now he is a multifamily real estate investor and also became a member of something called SCORE back in 2021. And the whole emphasis of being a SCORE member was to help him understand that he can help other people start small businesses. And that leads us to retirement number 4. So at this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Ron onto the show, and we're going to ask him about this retirement history. We're going to ask him about how he was able to retire so many times. And then we're going to ask him the big question: why didn't the other one stick? So let's do this. Let's bring Ron onto the show. Ron, welcome back to the show. I'm so excited to have you. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Al. Thanks for having me again. Let's talk about the retirement.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how many Lifestyles Unlimited members. I can't count the number of different people that I've had the pleasure to get to know, and you're one of them. And out of all the people that I know, there's nobody that I know that retired themselves 3 times and then came to Lifestyles Unlimited to actually retire themselves a 4th time. So give up the beans, man. What was going on with all these retirements?
Well, at the end of each retirement, it was great for a while to be home, do stuff. I go to the gym usually 3 days a week. I play golf. But, after a while, you can only play so much golf and you can only go to the gym so often. And I really get bored. So I've got to have something to do. So each time that I retired, within about a year or so, I started looking for something else to do. And then it went out and either did the next program to do that. So that's how we just kept after we would retire, we'd be back into something else very shortly thereafter.
The auto body shop that you owned for about 12 years. You owned that thing, was it?
It was 10, but yeah.
It was 10. Okay. So how did you wind up in a fiber optic company for 6 years? I mean, after you left the auto body business, you went to fiber optics. I mean, that seems like 2 completely different industries.
The reason I got started in that was, remember I worked for the old telephone company.
Yeah.
So when I was there, the bulk of my career was in the outside plant organization. I ended up running the whole outside plant organization from a staff perspective for years. I had all these other positions. So I was very familiar with underground placement of copper cable at that time. I also placed the first set of fiber optic cable in the company that I was with back in 1980 or so. We put in, I remember it was all multi-mode as opposed to the single mode. And so I just thought, well, I can go ahead and do that again. So I went to work for this company, and I was a project manager. So I would hire the engineering company to do the design work on the streets and everything with all of the work that we did. We did horizontal boring. Then I hired the construction company that did the horizontal boring. And then I hired the splicing company that went ahead and did the work and tied that all in. And so I typically had 40 to 60 of those projects going on at a time. So I was pretty busy, but I was having a great time. Driving around town, dealing with all of the different cities, the permitting people and everybody else. So I finally went to work for them for a while, and I finally figured I was going to be 70 years old, and it was probably time to not work anymore. That's how we retired in 2019.
Okay, so you hit a hard stop, an age stop, age 70, and you said that's it. I'm going to go back to the retired world.
Yep. I announced I was going to retire the year before. They hired a person to replace me at that time, and then I continued to work, and then I actually ended up working 3 months past the time because I had projects that still weren't quite done. But during that time, they hired another guy to replace me too, and then so. I finally had to go ahead and just leave at that point in time. So,
but you were still bored, and you were still looking for something to do, and you stumbled across real estate investing. You stumbled across Del Walmsley, the founder and CEO of Lifestyles Unlimited. And what information did he put into your mind that made you realize that you needed to stop retiring yourself?
Well, the key thing was the fact that I had this pile of money when I sort of retired, and I was doing that, and that going forward, my wife and I were probably going to just keep running that pile of money down to nothing. And so I was concerned about finding some type of investment that we could grow the capital and then live on the profitability of the businesses each month that Lifestyles pays out quarterly on what's known as the cash flow, and so that we could do that. So that's what happened. Was that sounded very intriguing, and that's how I became interested in checking Lifestyle out.
So you, like me, wound up in what we call the 16-hour Financial Freedom Seminar. That's the education that all of us take as brand new members. What stood out from that education that nobody else had bothered to share with you in all of your time on this planet?
Well, it was the first day was the single family, and that was very interesting, going through all of the aspects of that, on how that ought to be managed and run, and it was pretty exciting looking at that. And then the next day we got into the multifamily, and that was where my wife and I thought we would fit right in. We had this pile of money, and so we figured we could directly invest in that as passive investors. And then the key thing that we saw in there was the ability of real estate in the multifamily mode to use forced appreciation, it's called, and that's where you can go ahead and as you add revenue each month to the property, you multiply that out times the annual rate, and then you divide it by what's called the cap rate, and it actually increases the value of the property just by increasing the rents and the money that are paid for anything associated with the property. So that was quite a bit different than single family, which is totally matched up with the market, as opposed to just anything that you do to the home. When you have a home, it maybe if you do something to it, you remodel or do something or add something, you can add some value, but not necessarily, because the market may not show it as worth that.
Where did all of your capital come from for your real estate investments?
Back in the 90s, we had invested heavily in the stock market and did quite well. I probably could have been a trained ape at that time in all the tech stocks that we invested in, so we made quite a bit of money during that time. At the end of the 2001, we lost a little bit of that money. We lost some more in 2008, And so we could just see that the market wasn't the place for us to be successful in anymore. So that's how we're looking for something else, and the multifamily and lifestyles was what we were looking for.
I mean, were you doing the typical thing of putting money into your 401k? Did you have an IRA? Were you doing those types of things?
We had quite a bit. Well, we had quite a bit of cash outside of the 401k, but both my wife and I had 401ks, and so we did invest in that. I was never really too impressed with that because of the fact that everything you took out was ordinary income, so I never really liked that.
So the idea of investing within that 401k, you kind of nixed that right at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Well, not only that, but Lifestyles, recommends that you don't really invest in real estate in your 401k because you forego all of the benefits that you have of the depreciation and everything else. And so as the money grows, it still would grow the same in the 401k. The only difference is that when you go to take the money out, you're going to pay ordinary income tax at the full rate on any money that you take out, and that would be just outrageous to do that. So you're much better paying the penalty in getting out of the 401k and investing in real estate literally outside of that. So then you can take all of the current tax benefits and everything with investing that way.
I think that's great advice. I mean, that's advice I've heard from you. That's advice I've heard from my fellow Lifestyles Unlimited members. Heck, that's advice I heard from Del Walmsley right out of his own lips. When we come back from the break, more with Ron. Stick around.
Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show returns in a moment. Got questions? Go to lifestylesunlimited.com.
Tired of living the life of quiet desperation? Want to retire but can't save fast enough? Let Del Walmsley and the team at Lifestyles Unlimited show you how.
I'm here to tell you, you got to take action now. You got 1 year, and at the end of 1 year, it's going to be just as crazy as it was.
Change your roadmap. Change your life.
So unlike when you go to retire and you think you have a pile of money and you're going to live off that pile of money and your goal becomes die before you run out of money, right?
Use real estate to create passive income.
Our goal here is just go out there and create the income stream. We don't care how big the pile is. That's irrelevant to us. Create the income stream we can live on, and then every year continue to build that wealth.
Build wealth.
You should be able to increase your income every year for the rest of your life. I have since I was 34 years old.
Get educated now at Lifestyles Unlimited. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for $297, a 60% savings off the regular price. Text radio to 88007.
Creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon. I am joined by Ron, and together we are working on your financial freedom, because this is another edition of Tell Al Tuesday, where I bring a Lifestyles Unlimited member onto the show, and you get the opportunity to walk through their mind and understand what they understand. And it will help you understand that what you are doing for retirement, it's either working or it's not. It's as simple as that. And I think the big takeaway from Ron's story so far today is that even though he's retired himself multiple times before doing it the real estate way, he was always looking for a better solution. Is that a fair statement, Ron, to say you were always looking for a better solution than the one you had?
That is exactly right, Al. It's important that you find something that you feel comfortable with, and we did with Lifestyles.
Okay, so you decided to invest in multifamily properties, and you decided to become a part of the preferred investor group so that you could transact properties like I do with our fellow Lifestyles Unlimited members. Have I framed the picture so far?
Yes.
So within that closed group, that preferred investor group, there's two ways you can invest. You can either be the lead investor, in other words, sponsor a real estate transaction and have a bunch of people like me join you, or you can do it the way you did it, the way I did it. You find those lead investors and then you invest with them. Here's the thing that's puzzling me, Ron. Why did you not opt to take the lead investor route? I mean, you seem like the perfect candidate to me to actually invest with. Why did you decide to go the passive route instead of the lead route?
That was driven by my wife. She did not want me to become a lead investor.
Okay.
You're too old to do that.
No.
That's a full-time job. You can't do that.
I think she's guilty of ageism. What do you think?
I think so too. Yes, I would agree. Could you tell her that?
No, I'm not. I'm not brave enough. I'm not the guy.
I specifically wanted to become a lead. So.
Oh, okay. So you took the passive route. Did you find the passive route fulfilling though?
It's worked out really well. Once again, because of the fact that after you provide your money, I see the financial reports each month from each of the properties and look at those. Then we get cash payments from them usually every quarter. It's not bad as an aside. You get to see what's going on all these properties. It's probably not quite the same as managing the investments, but for a part-time activity, it's great.
So how many properties do you have currently in your portfolio that you're keeping an eye on?
Currently, there's 22. We just sold the property in Georgia. That was the last one I had in Georgia. I think I'm in 4 states with the 22 properties.
Well, that's got to keep you pretty busy traveling to all 4 of those states to inspect those properties and collect the rents and do all the things necessary to operate those properties.
Not exactly. I've only been to, of the current properties I have, I've been to one of them twice. I haven't seen any of the others. Some of the ones I've sold, I've been to once or twice, but other than that, the current investments, I've not personally been to any of them except one twice.
Ron, that sounds very risky. Aren't you, as a real estate investor, supposed to go to your properties and check them out like all the time?
No, that's not necessary at all.
Why not?
The lead takes care of that. They manage the business. We're looking at the financial results all the time, so you get pretty good perspective of what's going on. I have gone on Google Earth and looked at most of the properties. Usually when I purchase them, I circle around, look at the property, and get some perspective of where it is in town and get some kind of general feel for the property. But that's as close as I get to them, most of them.
That just sounds very risky to the audience, Ron. I mean, can you help us understand why it's not risky?
It's not risky because of the fact that you build up a trust with the lead investor. Once again, you can tell what's going on with the financials and everything, that they're managing the property properly, and it's not risky at all to do that. So you may feel a little angst when you start, like going through buying the first property, but after you do that, you never look at it again.
So you're partnered with 22 different people, and they're doing all the heavy lifting, and you just get to sit back and take advantage of the rewards?
Pretty much. Actually, there's several of them that I have multiple properties with. So typically, when you find a very successful lead, you may want to purchase another property with them, and we've done that on several occasions.
So this real estate investing, this has probably solved your time requirement. I mean, you probably spend all of your time poring over the books of these properties, or spend all of your time worrying about these properties. I mean, that's got to solve your time problem, right?
No, not at all.
Oh, no.
I probably spend 5 minutes looking at each property a month, and that's it. So
that's it?
Yeah, that's it. So we're talking about maybe an hour and a half for the month. That's it.
That's the amount of time you dedicate to your real estate investments. They must be going off the rails. I mean, because you're not there watching them. Yep.
No, they're all doing pretty well. Now, I do spend a little more time when I get the K-1s and have to do the taxes for each one of these, but that's because I do the taxes myself. But other than that, that's all I spend a month on each one of them.
what we're talking about, we're having a little bit of fun with, is we're talking about the concept of false beliefs. And most people have a false belief that real estate is very risky. It takes a lot of time. You got to have $1 million to make $1 million in real estate. False beliefs are just that. They're false beliefs, correct?
That's correct. And the other thing is you don't have to invest $1 million. You can invest much smaller amounts of money because you're in there with a group of other partners in the deal. So my investments range from $50,000 to $200,000 in the various properties that I have. And so anybody with that kind of money can easily invest in multifamily investments.
So this real estate investing is actually a pretty easy affair. I mean, once you find the asset that you're looking for, you just go after it. I mean, and how much time does it take to do that?
You have to spend a little bit of time looking at the properties. My wife and I, because we're older, we tend to invest in what's called high yield kind of properties that are making cash at this point in time, and as best we can, the cash flow from those is better. There's another type of investment called a value investment where you go in and maybe tear out a whole bunch of the building and do a tremendous remodel and then go back in and greatly increase the price of the rents on typically a more of a apartment complex that's really in tough shape. And then you get the big jump in revenue coming in at that time and cash flow. But that's a lot of those are a year and a half or 2 years. So we typically invest in ones that tend to cash flow within the first 90 or 180 days.
Because you're using that cash flow to live off of. I mean, that cash flow is providing you your quality of life.
That's correct. That's correct.
So here's what I'm getting, Ron, is that you're enjoying your life. You're not religiously focused on your real estate. You spend a little bit of time every month on your real estate because it's important. But at the end of the day, the real estate is not controlling your life. You're controlling your life. You're doing what you want to do. You can go to the gym. Nobody tells you no. You get to go play golf on Fridays. Nobody tells you no. Of course, Mrs. Ron might have a say in all of this. But at the end of the day, you're living a wonderful lifestyle, are you not?
Oh yeah, it's my life is pretty good. I wish I was a few years younger because there's a few aches and pains you have that you just do not have, but that's part of the aging process, so that's to be expected.
Yeah, these bodies they just weren't designed to last forever, were they?
Unfortunately, no.
But in contrast to that, your bank account could last forever because you've destroyed that whole concept of living off of a pile of money. You now have passive income controlling your income streams, correct? That's
correct. And then, of course, the strategy there is defer, and die. And then when you die, it moves on to your heirs, and they get to start the process of going through defer, die.
How many children are going to be a part of your legacy plan?
There's 3.
And are they
They're
real estate
daughters.
investors now?
No, none of them are real estate investors. My youngest daughter, her and her husband are in the real estate business. She used to manage big apartment complexes, and he's like a regional maintenance manager. And has actually what he does is he goes out and does inspections now of all these big complexes. They work for the largest real estate management company in the world. They used to work for the second largest, and then the largest bought them out, so they worked for them.
Oh, wow. But as you and I know, working in the business is different than working on the business. You essentially work on the business, whereas they're working in the business. So what can we do to help them understand what you know?
We spend quite a bit of time doing that, and we try to get them to attend some of the seminars, and we also we let them know, the youngest daughter anyway, what's going on with a lot of our properties and everything else, so she's aware of what's going on there.
So are they resistant to becoming Lifestyles Unlimited members?
No, they would. They would. The only reason they haven't is they haven't personally had enough cash and stuff like that to really do much investing. So that's been their problem. We've been working with trying to get them to get their bills paid and get everything in their life managed a little more closely than we would like.
Okay, so you're helping them. You're gently nudging them in the direction they should go.
Absolutely. It's only a matter of time before they get into the game much heavier.
Okay, so you're kind of sitting back watching their progress and realizing that they're not in the game with Lifestyles Unlimited right now, but they don't need to be. But that's definitely a future event for them.
Yep. Oh yeah. At some point in time, they're going to become. We'll have them become part of the preferred investor group also. At least the youngest daughter will be for sure, and I'm not sure what the other two daughters are going to do. So.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you and I don't know how long we're going to live. I mean, you're about ready to cross a major milestone of 75. I just crossed a milestone of 60. I keep looking at my left hip to see what the expiration date is on this body, but there's nothing there. Do you have anything on your left hip?
Yeah, no, it's the parts haven't fallen off yet, so it's doing okay.
Legacy planning is a part of what you're doing for your investing strategy. And even if your heirs don't really understand that you're doing legacy planning for them, you're still getting it done, right?
Absolutely. Part of the legacy planning is the fact that you own these buildings, and they cannot get out of them that easily. So the good news on that is if, for example, if they had a bunch of stocks and you died, they could sell those and waste the money immediately. With these properties, they've got to wait a little bit till the group decides to go ahead and at least sell the building at that point in time. So that's going to give them some time to get used to the investment and stuff, look at the cash flow, and then maybe make some kind of a rational decision to see if they had to continue to keep doing that rather than spending the money on something else.
Can you imagine being in the room when they had the epiphany of the cash flow coming in and they realize that this is a regular occurring procedure?
I'm hoping that is an epiphany for them, because I'm afraid they're going to look at it and go, I'd like to get that $100,000. What am I doing? I want that money.
Yeah.
So,
not to mention all the wealth associated with that cash flow, right?
That's exactly right. They're probably going to be looking at the capital rather than the cash flow. My wife and I look at the cash flow and almost could care less about the capital as long as it's continuing to grow.
Yeah, because I mean that's your investing strategy. Bring the cash flow in, live off of the cash flow, allow the assets to continue to improve and grow in value. Sell one asset, buy two to replace it. I mean, did I kind of describe your investing strategy?
Sounds like it's almost to the sea.
Man, it sounds like we may have gone to the same place to learn the same thing, and that we may be focused on doing the same things.
Isn't that amazing?
Pretty cool stuff. And now where'd you go to college? I got to ask that question.
I went to University of Minnesota, an electrical engineering degree, and I also went to the Harvard Graduate Business School. I have an executive MBA.
Okay, and neither one of those educational programs taught you what Del Walmsley taught you in 16 hours.
Not even close.
I'm in the same boat. I'm in the exact same boat as you, Ron. At the end of the day, I've got a couple of degrees. I've got a professional accreditation. I don't even know what that thing is. I've got some professional thing, but at the end of the day, those things don't pay me any money. Your degrees don't pay you any money. What pays you money is your real estate. What pays me money is my real estate. And if you want to do what Ron's doing, you want to do what I'm doing, you want to do what the 50,000 members of Lifestyles Unlimited are doing, go to lifestylesunlimited.com. Sign up for that free workshop, and let's get you going.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.